Today, we are going to figure out how to solve unit rate problems that include constant speed. We're going to begin with a real-world problem. The first thing we need to ask ourselves is, what is constant speed? Is that the speed I'm driving? Is that the speed I'm going when I stop the stop sign? No, constant speed is if I would continue to go driving at the same speed without slowing down or speeding up. Let's think of it in terms of driving down the highway. At a constant rate, if I was driving my truck down the highway going 30 miles an hour, that means in 1 hour I would travel 30 miles. Now constant speed means that I'm not stopping at stop signs or speeding up, but I would continually travel at 30 miles an hour. So in 1 hour, I would travel 30 miles. This is also considered a unit rate because in 1 hour, I would travel 30 miles. So constant rate means how fast I travel without speeding up or slowing down, and how fast I do it in a unit, and my unit is an hour, would be 30 miles. So let's look at this problem. If I was driving my truck at a constant speed of 30 miles per hour and traveled for 4 hours, how far would I travel? If I make a table and label one side hours and the other side miles traveled, I know in this problem that in 1 hour I travel 30 miles. So I can say in 1 hour I travel 30 miles. Now I need to find out in 4 hours, how many miles do I travel? To figure this out, I can say in 1 hour, I travel 30 miles. So in another hour, I travel another 30 miles. So 1 hour plus 1 hour equals 2 hours. And in that 2 hours, I travel 30 miles the first hour, 30 miles the second hour, 60 miles. So in 2 hours, I travel 60 miles. Another way I can look at this, I could just say 2 hours times the 30 miles each hour, so 2 times 30 would equal that 60 miles. So now I can fill in what we just saw into this table. In 2 hours, I travel 60 miles. But remember, our original question asked us, how many miles do I travel in 4 hours? So I'm still looking for my unknown, the number of miles I travel in that 4 hours. I can remember from the previous screen that I could just take the hours from the first, which was 30, and I could add 30 more, which gives me that 60. And for 3 hours then, I could add another 30, which would make 90 miles in 3 hours. And if I keep adding the 30, then I can find for my 4 hours, 90 plus 30 is 120. So now we know that in 4 hours, I travel 120 miles. Another way of always doing that is I can take the number of miles I travel in 1 hour, which is 30, and I can multiply it by the total number of hours I traveled. In this case, it was 4. So this way, it's 4 hours I travel, and it's 30 miles each hour, which gives me 4 times 30, which we said was 120. So I travel 120 miles in 4 hours. So let's review. Today we solved a unit rate problem involving constant speed. Remember, unit rate is measured as in a quantity as 1, such as today it was how far we traveled in 1 hour. And we did mile per hour. So miles per hour meant 1 hour. We could also do other problems with feet per second. It would be feet traveled in one second. So the 1 second would be our unit rate. How many feet would be traveled in 1 second? Now, constant speed, on the other hand, is the rate we travel at a set speed. We're not speeding up or slowing down. So constant speed would be like my finger traveling across this border, the line that I'm drawing. It's not speeding up or slowing down. So constant speed is the set rate without the stops and the starts. We also solved the problem by using a table. And when we do unit rate, on one side of the table, we always put our unit. And today our unit was hours. And the other side, it's the distance you travel in that hour. And that was our miles. So our unit rate, we started out with 1 because we knew in 1 hour we traveled the 30 miles. And then our problem asked us how far we would travel in 4 hours. We figured out how to solve this because we could take the miles we traveled in 1 hour, which was 30, and to find out how many miles we traveled in 4 hours, we just multiplied that constant speed, the 30, for 1 hour, by the number of hours we wanted to find out, and we came up with the number 120. So with this formula, taking the miles traveled in 1 hour times the number of miles you're traveling, we can come up with the miles per hour we travel. So per se, we want to ask ourselves, well, if I traveled for 10 hours, how far would I travel? I could take 30 times the 10 hours. The 30 represents, right here, represents the miles I travel in 1 hour. That's our unit rate. And we multiplied it by the 10 hours we were traveling. And we would find out we could travel 300 miles in 10 hours. I hope that you can see through this that using tables to solve your constant rate problems using that unit rate is fairly easy. Now it's time for you to practice on your own.